We are now past the birthday, past the anniversary of the non-suicide. Tell us what your experiences have been, Harry. You had a couple big radio programs to do. How were they received? What was it like? And have you and the follow-up? I'm curious. Were you sneered at? Did the spitlickers come after you? Did they go after the host? Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, you know darn well that's what happened. The spitlickers, as my buddy Charlie Ellis refers to the SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center. I was on Coast to Coast with George Knapp, who you told me was a very decent journalist, and I was on his radio show. What was it, month and a half ago, something like that.
Yeah.
And the hit counter on our website went up nicely the very next day, which is normal at sharkhunters.com. But then I've just recently been told that the PLC contacted him and allegedly threatened him. I don't know whether they did or not.
George Knapp?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Threaten him how? How'd they threaten him?
Not physically, of course, but probably like they did with you, to pull some of your stuff off the air. And somebody sent me a clip, only about a 5 or 10 second clip of George Knapp the next day, more or less apologizing for having me on his show. Good Lord. Of course, what they don't realize is the hit counter went nuts the next day, and the number of new members doubled over what it normally is. So,
Harry, did you just say that George Knapp actually reversed and recanted, basically, and said that he was sorry you were on his program?
That is what my members emailed to me, and I sent an email to George Knapp yesterday morning and asked him for his input. I told him what I had been informed.
Yeah.
And I asked him if it was true, and I said, if it's true, and then I said something about having a set of Monica Lewinsky knee pads so he could kneel and kiss the you-know-what of the spitlickers. And I asked him if it was true, and I said, if it's not true, let me know. And but if it is true, I told him he was not worthy of the title newsman. And the point there being that if it was true, that would indicate that he made a decision based on pressure from them and not an intelligent decision having all the facts, because
right.
If you want the true story and somebody says one thing, you contact the person who's being accused of something and ask them. Because now the spitlickers love to say that I'm a neo-Nazi, which is not true. I'm not a Nazi, neo or otherwise. I don't even know how you define that. And that Shark Hunters is a hate group. That's a nice, easy way to
really?
lump things together. With general hate.
Geez.
Some people are white bigots. Some people, I looked at their website. Some people they identify as black bigots. Some are white bigots. Some are white separatists. Some are black separatists. Some are this, that, and the other thing. But we just got lumped up as general hate. And, that's an easy thing to throw at somebody, and it sticks to stupid people who don't research. Because when their number one hatchet man, who's not really a man, it's a woman, Heidi Byrich, I think I pronounced her name right, when she called me about a year ago, she asked me if I knew Willis Carto, the publisher of the American Free Press. And I told her, yeah, he's a member of Shark Hunters, and he's a personal friend since 1989. And, oh, she says, well, he's a neo-Nazi. I said, really? I didn't know that. And then she said, do you know Dr. Charles Ellis? I said, yeah, he's on my board of advisors.
Like she didn't know all this. Uh-huh.
Yeah, of course she knew it because it's published right there on my website.
Right.
And she said, well, he's a neo-Nazi too. I said, well, I didn't ask
Oh, God.
what Charlie's
this
political opinion was. I said, but this is the USA. If he wants to be a Nazi, that's his business, but I don't think he is. And I said, I can tell where this is going. I said, are you going to put down that those guys are members? Oh, yes. I said, are you also going to put down that Ronald Reagan was a member and the 4 Medal of Honor American submarine commanders, they're members. Some Medal of Honor fighter pilots were members. State governors, senators, congressmen, these are all paid members. These are not honorary members. They are paid members who chose to be members. Are you going to put that down? Well, probably wouldn't fit, she says, or something along those lines. So, it was a very slanted piece.
It's an ambush. It's not even journalism. It's just ambush defamation of character is what it is.
Yeah, and you have to step back and ask who appointed them as the gatekeeper, as the definer of what is a hate group and what is not a hate group. We don't hate anybody. And as you know, I don't even hate the 2 guys that killed my son. Someday God's going to put them in my crosshairs, and that's another story, but I don't hate them. And
I'm well aware of that, and I've always honored that, yes.
Yeah, and we're a history group. We began with the history of the German U-boats, and we are, without question, the world's only research archive / publication on the U-boats in the world. There is an archive in Germany, which is an incredible archive, and we're closely affiliated with them, but they don't publish anything. And then you've got these online forums, and you send in a question to their forum that you'd like more information about the U-boat that's sunk, full of gold, of course, sunk in the Sea of Tranquility, and you'd have, within 24 hours, you'd have probably 100 people telling you all about the submarine, who the captain was, without realizing that the Sea of Tranquility is on the face of the moon.
First of all, of course it's on the moon. Secondly, all U-boats were full of gold, weren't they?
Yeah, right. Full of gold. Diamonds, you have to wonder how they damn near won the war for Germany, because they only carried around gold, diamonds, and stolen art treasures from the Louvre.
Stolen art treasures, and yeah.
Half of them had Adolf Hitler's body on board. And of course, they were Nazi U-boats. They couldn't be called German U-boats.
No.
U-boats.
Never mind that far less than 10% of the German military was ever involved with the party. They were patriots. They were Germans. They were fighting for their country and supporting their entire agenda.
And in the Navy, Admiral Dönitz made it a rule they could not belong to any political party at all until after about July of 1944, after Tom Cruise tried to blow up Hitler in the Führer bunker in the Wolfschanze during that Operation Valkyrie.
Don't bother these people with the facts, Harry, because it gets in the way.
I know it. But at that point, then they put PK guys, propaganda company guys on board, or political guys on board, who had a lot of times they have an accident and get washed overboard and never seen again. But they were Germans, and they were proud of their heritage. They had been put down so horribly after World War I and the Treaty of Versailles, and they were in a tremendous financial depression, and Hitler came along at the right time. Germany was one people. They didn't have diversity, and they had a common people. They had a common ailment, which was the depression, the financial disaster. They would take a wheelbarrow full of money to buy a loaf of bread, and along came Hitler to unify them and give them back their pride. And so, of course, they were proud of their country. Now, I'm not going to get into any of the other stuff about the history or the fictitious history or whatever, or the rest of the stuff, because I'm not an expert on that. But he put Germany back together, and so those who joined the military joined because of pride in their country. The same reason in this country people joined the military out of national pride when the war broke out. Whether it was misdirected or whatever is up to other historians. But I remember, I remember how proud everybody was to run off and join. I lived in Chicago at the time. I was a little kid, and you'd see the little pennants hanging in people's window that indicated they had a son in the military. If it was a silver star, it indicated, I think, that their son had been wounded, and unfortunately there were a lot of gold stars, which meant their son wasn't coming home. But they were all proud. This country and Germany, and I'm sure the other countries in the war. War is a terrible thing. And I challenge anybody to tell us about one war that was for any reason other than money, profit. But when you're a kid, hey, when I got out of high school, I was an 18-year-old kid. I couldn't wait to run down to join the Air Force because I was full of national pride, which I still am. This is a great country. Our government's full of crap, but this is a great country.
Mm-hmm.
And ran right on down, joined the Air Force, served my 4 years. I wanted to be a fighter pilot, but they had just finished Korea. And they had so many pilots left over from World War II in Korea, they just shut down Air Cadet. So I commanded a six-man team loading hydrogen bombs onto P-47s. And then I got out since I couldn't be a fighter pilot. But everybody joined because of pride in their country. So this business about they joined so they could massacre Jewish people or any of the other stories, that's a bunch of baloney. It's propaganda. So anyhow, I'll get off my political...
No, don't. We have a couple more minutes left. Go ahead and wrap it up. That's very succinctly stated, very accurate, 100% accurate. There's an awful lot out there that, tragically, most American young people will never come into contact with, except down the road as some crazy, lunatic alleged conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
The truth of the matter is, the conspiratorialists have it right, and the historians have it wrong.
Yeah, and we've been trained, like Pavlov's dogs, to turn a negative opinion to anyone named a conspiracy theorist. Now, again, what's a conspiracy theorist? What's a Nazi? How do you draw a definition?
Well, I call them conspiracy investigators or researchers.
Right. Well, I guess I'd be considered a conspiracy theorist or something like, because I absolutely flat out say Adolf Hitler and Eva Braun did not commit suicide in the Fuhrer bunker on 30 April 1945, and that's not a theory, it's fact. One of my guys, we've got thousands of members, and if any of your listeners would take information on membership and a free copy of our magazine electronically, they just need to send me an email, hunters@earthlink.net. And
please do that, ladies and gentlemen. Take advantage of that offer. His magazine is marvelous. You will not find any radicalized ravings. You'll find truth and history, as told by the people who lived it, by the way.
Right. Most of the surviving U-boat commanders were members.
Yes,
a lot
they
of
were.
American and British anti-submarine guys were members, and they all gave us their history. And then during our conventions, they got together, and they'd be arm in arm, and they'd be drinking and singing together. And my thought on our first convention, 1988, hundreds of people, Germans, Americans, arm in arm, singing, drinking, and I thought, how could we have ever shot at one another? And they told me almost every time, they told me that they learned they were not different. They just wore different uniforms. So,
yeah, and we're financed and pushed and ordered by different banking elements in the big cartel that runs the world.
Well, we didn't know that. I didn't know that back then, but that seems to be the case. Again, I'm not the expert on that, but that appears to be.
Well, Marine Corps Commandant Smedley Butler, General Butler, knew all about that, and he wrote the book in the 1930s, War is a Racket.
Yeah, unfortunately,
told the truth.
Exactly what it is.
Yeah. All right, hold on a second. We'll be right back with Harry. And do send him an email and ask for a free copy of his marvelous magazine. It'll be sent to you electronically. We'll get back and give you more information on that and continue our conversation in just a few minutes. Hold on. Okay, and we're back. Talking with Harry Cooper. I do hope all of you will take advantage. Give them the address again, Harry, to write to while they get a pencil real quick for the free issue of the magazine. You know, we had a lot of dropouts with Harry in the first half hour, so the phone may have quit altogether. Probably try to call him back would be my best suggestion at this point. Now, if you are, again, looking for something that is unique, unusual, and reflects, these people are not going to be around much longer. They're real. They're still alive. Some of them are over 100. U-boat skippers, American veterans, and Russian veterans. And it's an organization that honors all people who fought under all flags in these wars for money, for greed, wars for death, if you really think about it, and financed by you know whom. And we've got Harry back now. Okay.
Yeah, we got pirated there, didn't we?
Yeah, you got messed with the first half hour, and the Spitlickers have technology that can do anything they wanted to.
Yeah, they're a heck of an opponent to go up against. Our bank right now, our bank account has about $800 in it.
Right.
And I looked at their P&L online, which they're required to post because they're a 501c3 company.
Yeah.
They got more than $250 million cash on hand, apparently. And they
$250 million. Wow.
Yeah,
not too bad.
$280 million. That's more than $250 million. And they bring in about $40 million a year. However, they recently ran into a problem with the FBI. The FBI had, we understand, had been paying them, and from some of the web stuff I've seen, the FBI had been sending them money to ferret out hate groups and unpleasant people, etc. And
well, Harry, what's a hate group?
I don't have the faintest idea.
I
guess you got to ask the Spitlickers.
Yeah, it's anyone who doesn't agree with them.
Yeah, and in my opinion, they're a hate group because they're going around pointing fingers at everybody, saying they're bad, evil, etc.
It's called reverse projection. They are, in fact, one of the most virulent hate groups around, period.
Reverse projection. Boy, I haven't heard that since I was in psychology class.
Yeah, well, there it is.
There it is, yeah. So, but the FBI, apparently, according to what I've seen on some of these official-looking websites, the FBI apparently has realized that they would out just about anybody to keep the money coming in. I don't know if this is true or not, but that is what I see on other websites.
Oh, I think that's quite reasonable.
Well,
and,
the poor old Boy Scouts of America, they better be careful, because if the Spitlickers get them in the sites, boy, oh boy, they'll be a hate group too.
Yeah. It must be fun when you are in a position like that you can say anything you want about anyone. Now, we do have a First Amendment here, but when it's done with malice and intent to defame, to harm, and otherwise to smear, it becomes a different kind of a thing. There are motives involved then, not just simply expressing an opinion.
Yeah, that's true. And, it appears like it's coming back to bite them to a degree. I mean, they're still making tons of money, and quite a few people have sent links to not only individuals that have negative things to say about them, but also major and highly respected outfits like Harper's Bazaar magazine. I found a couple articles in there. I think one was titled Morris Dees, or the Church of Morris Dees, and another one.
Yeah. Well, if you do research on Morris Dees, you'll find a lot of very unsavory facts.
Yeah, he was somebody accused of being a pedophile.
Right.
Something about his second wife's daughter, I guess. I don't know. You'd have to look at it, but she was 16 years old, and you'd have to go to the website to see what it says. So I'm treading a little bit carefully because I don't want to say anything that's untrue. Definitely never want to do that. I don't want to say anything that's defamatory.
Correct. We're just asking people to do their own research, look on the internet, make up your own decision. That's what freedom is really all about.
Yeah, and I'm not worried about getting sued because, like I say, I've got $800 in the bank. I don't. Shark Hunters does. And here in Florida, you can lose a lawsuit for $40 gazillion. And if you don't have $40 gazillion, what are they going to do? They can't take your house in Florida, and they can't take your car. So.
Well, that's a very interesting. I didn't know that. Two big pluses for Florida. Good job.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't
should be that way all across the country.
Yeah, that had nothing to do with why we moved here, because we didn't even know it until after we got here.
Sure.
We moved here because Florida is a beautiful place, and if you are you still there?
I'm here.
Oh, okay, because I heard that same little beep that happened just before we went disconnect.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there are people playing all the time, playing.
Hey, let them just listen into the show. What the heck?
Yeah.
So, and as you know, well, you're on the advisory board for Shark Hunters.
Very proud of it. Thank you, sir.
And we're happy to have you. And how much money do you get paid by Shark Hunters?
What is it? 210,000? 15?
Per hour.
I forget. Yeah, yeah. No, this is listen. This is nothing. Shark Hunters has nothing whatsoever to do with money.
Right.
It has to do with honesty, integrity, and history. That's
right.
it.
And
That's
you
it.
get paid the same as everybody else who works for Shark Hunters, like me as president. All the way on down the line, the translators,
Right.
the advisory board get paid zero. Nothing. Nobody gets a paycheck.
No. By the way, some of the filth that has been spread about me over 20 years, but it's become more intense in the last 3, 4, or 5 years, has it that I make an enormous amount of money. Well, let me say a couple things about that very briefly. First of all, if I did, so what? I earn it.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, the government takes 30%. Number 3, when people start throwing around gross income figures and not subtracting cost of doing business, which is another half of it, it just becomes so contrived and so disgusting. You just want to puke. I make money. I work 12 to 14 hours a day. Harry knows. Harry works about that hard too, if not harder.
Yeah.
And those of us who are committed to something, whatever we make, and had I sold out years ago to the big business, corporate rules and regulations, so to speak, I'd be a mega millionaire by now.
Yeah, you and I'd both be doing well.
You're damn right. But we're not, and I'm extraordinarily heavily in debt right now because I made the mistake of buying a house that had no footings or foundations.
Oh, good.
We were evicted. I was ordered to demolish the house. We lived in a garage for 7 years. And finally, I decided to take out another loan and build a replacement home, which I have done. But I am extremely in debt. It's between $500,000 and $1 million. You figure it out. Am I going to get out of it? Nah. Am I going to try and enjoy each day to the best of my ability, especially in light of getting past what I just went through?
Yeah.
You bet. And the same with Harry. So,
yeah. Well, we don't have that kind of debt. Thank God I paid off my mortgage before Obama got into office.
Yeah.
And didn't have a car loan until just, as a matter of fact, on Hitler's birthday, but that was by sheer
Yeah, tell us
coincidence.
that story in a second. We got to take a break, Harry. We'll come right back in just a minute.
Don't lose me this time.
No, we won't. All right. Hold on. Okay, back with Harry.
We're still connected.
We are, and now you're connected even more. You're connected by debt.
Yeah. Like I said, some people think that I'm rolling in money too, and my car is a 1981 Chevy. It's actually a Corvette that I got 15 years ago, and my wife's Lincoln that was almost 20 years old had 250,000 miles on it. It was time to give her some grief. So on 20 April, we went out and bit the bullet and bought a nice new Ford Fusion. And so I'm paying for that out of my pension. And every month out of my pension, I write a check for $1,000 to shark hunters to keep paying all the bills because, I could raise the dues, but that's not fair. We've had the same dues for better than 10 years. We haven't changed the dues at all for 10 years. So I don't think that's fair to my members. And we just keep going along like that. I don't have a savings account of any kind. But, what do you need? We lead a good life, and and without sounding dopey, as you know from our conversations in 1984, my son was killed, and I thought that was going to be the end of the world for me. And then I met Kay a year later, and we got married. And in 1987, my son Sean Patrick was born, and in 1991, my daughter Megan Mary Kathleen was born, and life's got a whole new meaning. So I don't have a lot of money. Like I say, I don't have a dime in a savings account because I don't have a savings account. But to the people who say, this Shark Hunters makes a good living for me, it costs me $1,000 a month, and I don't bring in a dime in my pocket for it. Any money that comes in, membership dues and the sale of the books, etc., that goes to paying the bills for Shark Hunters. And it ain't like it was before Kenyon Prince came into the White House, but that's another story. Incidentally, if I sound kind of all jammed up in my throat here, we live in a part of Florida where there's no palm trees. We got oak trees here. We live out in the woods, and right now the oaks are in full blossom, and there's microscopic pollen everywhere, and in your throat as well, so I'm coughing and wheezing.
No, you sound fine. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Yeah, not a problem.
So
not
anyhow,
a problem.
If your listeners want to look at what we have there, sharkhunters.com, and go to previous tours. You'll see different things there. You'll find tons and tons of photographs. Some of our tours to southern Germany, Bavaria, and Austria, which are called neo-Nazi tours by the Spitlickers.
They call them neo-Nazi tours. Boy,
Yeah.
they are low.
Yeah, and they said that we take neo-Nazis and others
Uh-huh.
on these tours.
Yeah.
So I guess I have to ask a person, are you a neo-Nazi or are you a other?
Well, let's look at their passport. It'll say right on there, I'm sure.
Yeah, right. So we go to historic places. We go to Munich. We see some of the historic buildings. We have lunch in the Hofbrauhaus, which is where on the third floor Hitler used to have his speeches because they could fit like 800 people into that room. And we go to Nuremberg, and we go to places that are off limits in Nuremberg for the history of it. Then we go down to southern Austria for the memorial, which is the high point of our tour, on top of a mountain where there's a ruined church and a huge, huge cross. They have a memorial to remember everyone who fell in battle, no matter what outfit, no matter what flag. To the best of my knowledge, it's the only memorial in the world for all the soldiers of
I agree.
all the countries.
I've never heard of another. No.
I haven't either, and I've been doing this for a lot of years. A lot of decades, too, actually. And so we're going again this September, and people can find information on the website about that, and, they're welcome to come with us if they like. Some of the other tours, though, are down in Argentina and the secret island off of Rio de Janeiro, where the boats and ships would stop for fresh water and meat provisions, even as much as 2 years after the end of the war. Today I had plans of what I was going to do today, but it just got shattered because one of my top agents contacted me, and I was on the phone a total of 3 hours with that agent.
Can you share much of that or any of it with us?
Yeah, I can tell you a little bit here. One thing that we learned, Russia has just released some 2 million captured German documents, and I just...
What a bonanza. Wow.
Oh, boy, I guess. Some of my members had been asking me for the link to get into it, and I didn't know it until about 2 hours ago. I have the link, but I'm not going to release it just yet because I want to look at it first to make sure I know what I've got here, and then it'll be released to our members, not to just everybody and anybody. Membership has its privileges. But some of the files, I was told, I've got secret police files from 1912 to 1945. Excuse me, training books, of course, which every military has training books. Jesus, when I was in the Air Force, and I went through 6 months intensive training on special weapons. The first 2 weeks was simplistic, but loaded with how-to books by the Air Force way. How to read the manuals and how to use the tools, how to hammer with a hammer and screw with a screwdriver, etc. So,
well, it sounds like a college degree.
Yeah, and you got books on everything.
Mm-hmm.
And other ones, there's a series of books called Feindbuch, Army Group Mitte.
Mm-hmm.
Feindbuch means the enemy book, Army Group Mittel. I was also told that the reason my book, Hitler in Argentina, is creating such a furor with both sides of the coin is that the left-wingers want Hitler to remain dead in his Führer bunker by his own hand, because anything else would interrupt some of the flow of money.
Exactly right.
And on the right wing, the NS people or the neo-Nazis or whatever, not your average neo-Nazi on the street, to use a term, but the organizations, the groups, they don't want to hear that Hitler deserted his people by running away. Well, when you read the book, you'll find out how and why he left Berlin. That's in the book. And this agent gave me what I needed to know about why was President Eisenhower in Bariloche in 1960 when nobody had ever heard of Bariloche except a lot of guys from the Third Reich. That's where a lot of them were living.
Was Ike still in office at that time, or had he ended his term as...
No, that was 1960. He was still in office.
I misunderstood.
And I still haven't done all my research on it yet because I've been on the phone all day with this particular agent.
Well, you may find some things in there which literally will shake up the Spitlickers and others who are making lots of money keeping the false narrative alive and well.
Yeah, I think that's probably going to happen. Right now, what they've released is primarily a printed matter. And the handwritten stuff, my agent said that they burned as much of that as they could, the Germans, before it fell into Russian hands. But even if you got it, it's just next to impossible to translate because, first off, they used words back then that are no longer in the German language, and they also used a different spin on the language that only the older Germans would recognize, and they wrote with that huge, big, broad pen. I'm not fluent in German, but I can't even. I've seen some of those old writings. I can't figure out the first word. So let's see what else. Eisenhower started something called the Eisenhower Fellowship, and from what, if I remember correctly, I wrote 5 pages of notes while this agent was talking, and I'm writing 1,000 miles an hour.
Sure.
Having trouble reading my own writing here, but there's an Eisenhower Fellowship, and the reason I'm told the reason that Ike was down there in Bariloche was to let them know we know where you're at, and we're here now. That's exactly the way the man put it, the agent. And
well, I that's interesting for a number of reasons, not the least of which is because Eisenhower was a genocidal maniac. I don't know how else to phrase it. He was a mass murderer after the war. He was as evil as Stalin, but a piker in comparison. Stalin, of course, was the big... He was Mr. Death of the last century.
Yes, Stalin probably was the number one mass murderer of all history.
Correct. Yeah.
But Eisenhower certainly was not the hero he was made out to be. I remember when he was running, I like Ike, and everybody wore an I like Ike button.
Yep.
But now we see Eisenhower caused more than 1.1 million German prisoners to be starved to death in his
horrible.
starvation camp.
In point of fact, probably worse than some of the camp-related deaths, the way Ike did it. No shelter, no facilities, nothing.
Yeah, and no food because under his orders, food was withheld until the people died.
I mean, this is a part of history that, again, I would urge all of you to entertain and consider and try to understand and read about, because you cannot grasp where we are now and why we are here now unless you understand what happened in the past. Ike was anything but the hero we thought. The true hero, our greatest hero in World War II, was General George Patton.
I thought you were going to say Patton. Yeah, Patton was a great American.
Yeah. An honest American, an honest man when it came to evaluating people's geopolitical threats and where the world was headed. He understood, and they killed him.
Most people think he was just killed in car crash,
And
I remember when I first heard about it many, many, many decades ago, you get the mental picture, okay, there's a car crash, there's dead birds in the back of the car, but he was alive in the hospital and he was improving.
Correct.
Until he woke up dead one morning, and those who realized that he was assassinated are allowed to believe that he was assassinated because he wanted to rearm the Waffen-SS, who were the tough fighters of the war, and he wanted to march east into Moscow. And that did bear on it a little bit. However, kept asking unpleasant questions like, what happened to the $2 billion worth of gold that disappeared out of the Reichsbank? Oh, well, you're not supposed to know who took that.
No, not supposed to talk about it either. Hold on a sec, Harry. We have to pause again. We'll come right back. Hour number 2 with Harry Cooper, sharkhunters.com. I would urge all of you to take a look at it if you're remotely interested in history, as it truly happened. Even if you aren't, please go take a look. And we will be back. I want to also remind all of you that things are not getting, as if I need to tell you, things are not getting better. And that puts more of a responsibility on you, each and every one of you, to do a little research, to do a little actual reading, especially from people like Harry's group, and many of you are listening, who lived through this or who have relatives who were in it and could tell the truth about what happened. You're not going to find it in history or history books because they're all lies. They're corrupted, they're perverted, they're skewed. They are not reality. That's the way it's always been. The winners write the story, okay? There's no big surprise there. It's not like I'm shocked. But that means you have to do your own research. And getting the magazine from Shark Hunters is one of the great ways to do it. It's absolutely fascinating. And they are stories that you won't hear anywhere else.
Yeah, it's not only history of the U-boats and the battles and everything.
Much more.
There's also a little section in there about flyboys. And we were running a series by Russian MiG-15 pilots who were fighting in Korea. During the time Korea was going on, we heard rumors that the North Koreans were not flying their own planes, that it was Russian fighter pilots, and now it turns out that's exactly what happened. Then we got a lot of spook stuff in there, all this spook, meaning spy or agent. All the stuff that's coming out now that we've dug up, and as you know, we've got a handful of SEIG agents. SEIG means Shark Hunters, Eagle Hunters Intelligence Group. People who really know what's going on, and also people who know how to get to the right archives. When the Stasi pulled out of East Germany, they just left everything behind, and they had some small archives here and there that were just kind of abandoned. And some of our people are still in contact with the old veterans down in Argentina, Paraguay, Uruguay, and that's where I'm going down there again in July. There are people I've been authorized to talk to down there. So it's going to be interesting. And I don't, as you know, I don't speak Spanish, but I get along in those little towns with my German.
That's fascinating. Are they still building down there with German architecture and little towns and villages? I
don't know if they're still building, but there are a lot of little towns that are like Bariloche.
Sure.
As I said before, when I got off the airplane, you think you landed in outskirts of Munich by mistake, because the town looked exactly like a Bavarian village at the foothills of the Andes, as opposed to Bavaria and the Alps. Beautiful architecture. And we were, another time when I was down there, we were up in Cordova province, driving across the Pampas. There ain't a damn thing out there except Pampas. And we're driving and driving and driving and driving. And then there was a wide spot in the road that had a great big building. It was an auto repair shop. It was a gas station. It was a lunch counter and a parts store and all sorts of stuff. So we stopped. We needed to buy new windshield wipers for our rental car. And these little blue-eyed, blonde, white kids came running past us with their blue-eyed, blonde, white mother chasing them through this truck stop. And I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. Argentines aren't normally of that ethnic slice.
No, they're not.
So it's and we're finding more and more. And the book Hitler in Argentina is just it's explosive. You know that. You've read it.
Oh yeah.
And the follow-on book, Hitler and the Secret Alliance, tells how all this was possible. And that one is a rocker too. But as you know, in the magazine, every month we're putting more and more and more historic stuff in the magazine as well. The last half of the magazine is all shocking history coming out from the war.
Correct.
And so we're getting enough, a contest going on for people to name our new book about the spook work down there. So if any of your listeners want to check in there at sharkhunters.com, and then if they'd like to suggest a name for the book, we got a contest going on until the 20th of this month, and whoever,
5 more days, so you got time.
Yeah, whoever's the successful one, their name will go in the book, so everybody who buys the book, the new book, will know who they are, and we give them $100 worth of whatever they want out of our Shark Hunters gift store. Books, DVDs. We got like 160 DVDs that we offer to members, and we got about 10 or 11 books. Hitler in Argentina, of course, that thing, because that's rocking a lot of pretty well solid beliefs. Hitler blew his brains out. Eva Braun took poison, and they all died, and the world was a safer place for puppy dogs and ice cream.
Yep.
It just didn't happen that way.
No. Nope, it sure didn't. Are there any younger people in their 30s and 40s who are rabidly interested in shark hunters and the reality of history, who get it, who will be able to assimilate the data and pass it along to their friends? Are you getting
absolutely.
that kind of folks? Good.
Absolutely. A lot of times people think, oh, okay, well, first off, I'm not a submariner, so
that leaves me out. But it does.
Well,
it doesn't, no.
Anybody can join. But we do have a lot of older people, a lot of veterans. We also got, let's see, he's a little older now, but a couple of years ago, a guy joined up. He was 17 years old, and he was going into the U.S. Air Force, into intelligence. And, so he was 17. And we've had fathers and sons join. People who are interested in true history, not neo-Nazis, not Hitler praisers, just people interested in history. And that's what we do. We're not a hate group. We don't hate anybody.
Oh, please, you don't even have to say that. It's geez.
I think it's really pathetic, because the people like the spitlickers who put these labels on people, I personally, my own personal opinion, I don't think they really even believe it. They just do it to keep the cash register ringing.
Well, why not? That's their game. It's always been their game. Yeah.
I'm going to have to find out how to do that to get the cash register ringing. We got spider webs all over our cash registers. No, I could never.
Well, see, you got
to
put the word poverty in your name.
Yeah.
SharkHuntersPoverty.com.
Oh, if that'll work. No, I still got to look at the guy in the mirror when I'm shaving. And if I look at the guy in the mirror, if I have to turn my eyes away, then there's something wrong. And so far, I haven't cut my throat while I've been shaving.
Well,
what you read, you have to look at with a grain of salt.
Oh, more than a grain.
Yeah, and you have to do your own research. Otherwise, you're just believing what want you to believe.
That's the name of the game.
Yeah,
Never
like-
been easier for them, too.
Sure, like I'm a neo-Nazi, Shark Hunters is a hate group.
Don't leave me out. Come on.
Okay, what are you, a neo-Nazi or are you a communist or what?
Let's just kind of string them all together.
It'd be hard, you know, I asked this broad from the Southern Poverty Law Center, I said, how can I be a neo-Nazi? She said, what's that? I said, I just told you I'm an underwriter Russian submarine officer, so if I'm a Russian, how can I be a Nazi? So
I'm sure she had a clever riposte to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I don't even remember. She's, you know, they're so slanted.
I know. They're doing a job. It's a machine.
Yeah.
It's ugly, and it is what it is.
It's a lot like interviewing somebody and say, well, have you stopped doing drugs? Well, I never did drugs.
Same
Oh,
thing.
okay. Then they print, well, he says he's not doing drugs anymore.
That's exactly right. All right. Harry, thank you. We're out of time again. Great conversation. Always fun. We'll do it again
enjoyed
next month. You take care. My best to the family. And talk soon.
Good deal. Thanks. And get yourself better, pal.
Thank you. Thanks, Harry, very much.
All righty.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Good night. All right. Let's take our little break, what's left of it, and we'll come back with Hour 3 right after this.